So the cars in 2x2 formation, or as near as damn it, as they head up towards the start line. 20 minutes of racing ahead of us. Very shortly, the red lights will go out and the race will get underway. And it has done, and it's a good start there from the second row of the grid, I think, by the number 44 car, Andrew Kimpton, up the inside. And Joe Stables makes quite a poor start, actually. He's down to third position because Scott Mittell held on in P2. Number 60 going well is Andrew Gord. He's found some time, but it's Mittell that's got the lead as they head down to Village for the first time. He's got ahead of Kimpton, and Stables is in third.
Yeah, Stables looks like he's lurking under the wing. Kimpton's back into third place. And as they go down the hangar straight, we'll see whether Stables can pop out of the slipstream of the Mittell, which seems to have a smaller frontal area than the centre seat Radical. Both centre seat cars. The PR6 Radical was the first one to have a centre seat, developed from the Pro Sports model. And we've got SR3s in the middle, the bigger SR3s, more downforce on those cars. And therefore perhaps not quite as quick in a straight line, but quicker in the corners. But Mittell there was, I think his line got a little bit compromised, a little bit bottled up, but right behind him is Joe Stables onto the Hamilton straight, Ian.
Absolutely right, and he's picking up a big toe there. He'll pull out from behind Scott Mittell up the inside into Abbey Curve, but he couldn't make that one work, I don't think. Or could he? Yes, he could. He has gone through. How long will Joe Stables hold on to this lead for? Down to the Village hairpin they go for the second time in this race. Andrew Kimpton holding on very nicely in third place in number 44. Alistair Smart fifth. Julian Griffiths then Richard Wise. And leading Class B at the moment is Leon Morel, who also leads the championship in that class. We've had a spinner though, and from 9th position, that's number 12, Andrew Fido in his SR3. The driver from Western-super-Mare has had a moment, but pretty harmless, and he manages to rejoin. But Joe Stables did get that move done, Marcus.
Yes, he did, and he's looking head down, determined in the cockpit. Mittell now is the chaser rather than the chased, and Stables has pulled out probably 6 or 7 lengths as they come to complete the second lap. Stables leads then by 0.8 of a second in the number 95 car, both of them going out onto that black and white curbing to open up Abbey Corner. 73 in 4th place is Alistair Smart in that gunmetal liveried car with the you see the orange heart on the car for the Marshal Rob Foote, who sadly lost his life at Brands Hatch last weekend. All the cars running those this weekend. There's our early leader Andrew Kimpton flashing through in the 44. He still is in 3rd place. Julian Griffiths in 7th, and 88 Richard Wise are 5th and 6th. Down the hangar straight up to maximum velocity, down into the long right-hander, tighter than it used to be in the days of yore when the Grand Prix were held here back in the 1960s and 70s. But of course they still are, but on the current circuit, which is very, very different to the old airfield that was here, and where the first World Championship Formula One race was held back in 1950.
Just looking there at Leon Morel going through in 7th place, number 35. He's ahead of 5 Doug Carter and 15 Robert Rees, who are in 8th and 9th places respectively. Just on the timing tower, you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see that Leon Morel's car is picked out in red, or the number is picked out in red, whereas all those around him are picked out in green. So green represents Class A and red Class B. And it looks like Robert Rees there going up the inside of Doug Carter, who's competed in Bikesports and before this RGB, as it was then known for many years. He's gone through Robert Rees up into 8th place. Yeah,
so many of the drivers find someone they're really happy with in the within the 750 Motor Club family, and Scott Mittell, tremendous champion in low cost.
He was, yes. So he went from low cost, he went into RGB and then into Bikesports as well.
There's a car on screen now. We saw the white and blue car, which has a sort of a skit of the old Tolman Motorsport colours. I see, of course, Tolman Group, which won the European Formula 2 Championship in 1980 with Brian Henton. But that car looking just like the marches that Henton and Rad Dougal would have raced in 1978 and briefly into 79 before their Rolls were ready. Even the same pump lettering.
And that's 22 Andrew Lowe, who's lost a place on this lap to Rob Gilman. and dropped down into 22nd and final position. There you can see the number 60 car of Andrew Gord. He's just tucked in behind the number 30, the yellow and white and black car just coming into shot. This is a battle for 15th and 16th position. It's also a battle within Class B for 3rd position, the final podium position within Class B as well. It looks like Gord there trying to get up the inside in his SR3 of the number 30 car. They're side by side on the exit of the corner, but as they head through that little kink before they get to the link, it is the 30 car of Mark Grayson that hangs on.
Yeah, that's down the order. That's 15th. They're battling for 4th place. So 6 has stopped out on the circuit.
Yeah, so that, I'm afraid, is Robert Gilman, who was towards the back of the field anyway. It looks like
he's spun, hasn't he? I think, and then can't get going again.
So hopefully he will be able to move out of the way. Otherwise, we may have an intervention of some kind in this race. We've had just over 5 minutes so far, 14 and a half minutes left to go in this 20-minute race for the RLM Racing Bikesports Championship. RLM, of course, the engine specialists. They produce and tune many of the engines for these bike engines.
A lot of them powered by the Suzuki Hayabusa engines, aren't they? The 1340 Hayabusas. There's a guy's spin, 15. That was Robert Rees, and all very, very close to number 6 that's parked there. That's on the exit of Village Corner, the tight right,
yes,
before they go up into the link, and that would indicate that there's a problem with that car, that it would need to be moved.
It would. Also, you'd think that spin might have been under yellow flags as well, which is the kind of thing that might attract the attention of the clerk of the course. Anyway, we watched this battle coming down into the left hand. That's Julian Griffiths in 5th place, and behind him is one of the few other non-radicals on the grid. That's the car of number 88, Richard Wise, another of the Mattels.
Yes, unusual to see a Mattel not running in the red and white Works Mattel colours. The yellow flags are being waved up there,
yeah,
but
and yeah, so confirmation of what we thought there. So there is Wise. He's been around the Bikesports Championship for quite some time. Previously raced Aspire, didn't he?
Yep, absolutely. And he's a doughty competitor, and one of the supporters of Tim Gray back in the early days when Tim was kind of finding his feet as a team owner.
I think Richard did get a win in a sort of unexpected circumstance. I think it was at Snetterton a good few years ago. That's the 44 car then of Kimpton, and there, great work by the marshals to move the number 6 car out of the way. So we've managed to clear that situation without the need for a safety car intervention, which is tremendous news.
And of course they're lapping in only just over a minute, aren't they? A minute and 2, something like that. So it doesn't give a lot of time for the marshals to react and get in there without a safety car cover when the field is spread out.
That time through, Alistair Smart in 4th position. The 73 car you can see there was taken 1.4 seconds out of Andrew Kimpton. It was a slower lap from Kimpton into the mid 1 minute 6s. He's been doing 1 minute 5s and indeed a 1 minute 4 at one stage in the race. So Alistair Smart there now in contention for the final podium position, albeit this is all more than 12 seconds behind the race leader Joe Stables. There is the 5th place car, number 7, Julian Griffith, so he in turn is another 4 or 5 seconds behind that battle. And further back, Andrew Gord has got ahead of Mark Grayson. He's also now got ahead of the 12 car Andrew Fido, or Andrew Fido I think possibly coming back through the order after that early spin.
Yeah, that's right. These are the SR3 radicals, of which they've made hundreds, in fact, yeah, rather more than 1,000 SR3s in that total of 2,000 that were made. And it took the mighty Van Diemen Formula Ford manufacturer 12 years to get to 1,000 cars, and it made Radical took them 12 years to get to 1,000 cars.
And talking of 12, through goes the number 12 car. That's Andrew Fido now ahead of Mark Grayson. So he's picking his way back up the order and up into 16th position.
Yeah, Fido going well in number 12. He's got a novice cross on the tail of the car. They do make a lot of downforce on twisty circuits. You can really feel it, and some of the high-speed corners, they are incredible machines to drive.
Well, I can well imagine it's quite a sensation. So there's Fido already putting some daylight between himself and Grayson. He's got about 3 seconds to make up on Ian Charles, who's the next car up the road ahead of him in 13th position, number 24. There he is, indeed, as we mentioned him. So he's already taken out some of that time. So coming up to the halfway point in this race now, and just looking at the lap times, best lap time so far in the race is a 1:02.95 for the race leader Joe Stables. That's outside the lap record, which I think was set by Martin Brooks last year, which is a 1:02.51.
But a much better time last time round, Ian, for chaser Scott Mattel in 27.
Yes.
A 1:03.4 plays a 1:04.4 of Joe Stables. Suddenly it's 2.15 seconds, not 3 and a bit.
Yeah, so that's come down. So we'll keep an eye on that one as we're watching the 33 car for the moment. Richard Hardy in 12th position, and Ian Charles behind him, and then you've got Andrew Fido catching both of these two.
And down the order, it's not a one-horse race in B either, because Leon Burrell is now only a second clear of 18 Miles Drew.
That's right. So Miles Drew has made up a couple of positions there, and he's lapping in the 160s. In fact, Drew has gone marginally faster during the course of this race so far, a 1:05.96. So perhaps try and pick up that battle for 7th and 8th between cars 35 and 18 if we can in a moment, because that's a battle for the lead in Class B. And as far as the championship in Class B is concerned, it's Morrell that's leading that. He's won, I think, on 5 of the 6 occasions, and it was Ross Drew, brother of Miles, that won on the other occasion. That was in the opening meeting of the season. So here comes this group of cars down the hangar straight. Richard Hardy in 12th position heading it, but you can see how Fido now in the 12th car has pretty much caught Ian Charles for 13th position. So Andy Fido, as it says on the side of his car, is with him. And then this is the battle for the last position inside the top 10, because that's Matt Moore, who's in 3rd in Class B at the moment. And here is the Morrell scrap. There's number 35, and behind him is number 18, Miles Drew. So those are the 2 cars that are disputing the Class B lead, and that's for 7th and 8th position overall. And it's Mark Boot, number 26, just in behind. I think on that lap, by the looks of it, Morrell was a 10th or so quicker, and the gap's gone back out to just over a second between the 2 of them.
Yes, another spin for the white car. That's 15, isn't it? It's gone round again at Village. Oh, that's shades of déjà vu.
There he is, trying to lighting up the tyres. He tried to get back onto the circuit. A bit leery, but he's managed it, and he's just been passed by the 33 car of Richard Hardy. Has Robert Rees. So there's Morrell, and there is Drew and Mark Boot. He's in a Class A car, so that's one of the cars with the tuned engine. And
you can see how much smaller the Radical PR6 is, how pushes a lot less air. There's yellow flags waving.
Yeah, so that's at Stowe, isn't it? Ah, yes, there's one off onto the tarmac runoff there. Didn't see who that was. We'll perhaps try and pick that up in a moment. But over the line goes Morrell again. He's behind Doug Carter. Is he catching Doug Carter fractionally by about 600ths of a second that time through? But those are in different classes, and points within Bikesports are scored within your respective classes, Class A and Class B.
And out front is now less than 2 seconds between Stables and Mattel. So Mattel's car appears to be coming to him. I think he's actually finding it's, yes, just hovering around that 2-second mark. Perhaps it's more stable later in the field. There's the yellows waving down the hangar straight for whatever's happened down towards Stowe.
So we were just seeing something going on at Vale. We'll try and pick up what's happening there on the exit of Club when they come through. So that's Richard. So that's Julian Griffiths we can see in the 7 car just behind Kimpton. So this is for 3rd, 4th and 5th. So these 3 have really got themselves together now. Only about a second covering the 3 of them.
Suddenly slowed. No, I wondered there.
Yes,
safety car is out.
Safety car's out. And that will be presumably because of that issue at Stowe Corner. So it looks like the safety car hasn't picked up the leaders on this occasion, unfortunately. It has picked up the 3rd place grouping headed by Andrew Kimpton. Of course, this safety car with about 6 minutes of the race to go. We'll see how many more racing laps we get in. There's the 30 car. It's the 30 car of Mark Grayson then that's been abandoned, you can see, on the half on the tarmac runoff and half on the circuit down there at Stowe. So he had a spin by the looks of it and wasn't able to get that restarted. He's bailed out. Hopefully he'll be somewhere on the scene and the marshals will be able to get that recovered. It should just be able to be pushed out of the way, one would think, but you don't want to be doing that with the traffic coming around at well over 100 miles an hour.
What it will do, of course, is going to bring all those battles right back together. We can see that Kimpton, Griffiths and Smart are really close together in the chase cars, but out front, the lead, which Mattel had trimmed to 1.57 seconds, they could have nothing between them at all going into the final minutes of this race. But we are within 5 or so minutes of the end of this 20-minute race. The safety car is out, and at some point, presumably, the pace car driver will be instructed to wave the chasing cars through until the leaders are behind.
And you would think they'd do that any moment now, because they're just going past that incident, aren't they?
Exactly.
So it would make sense to do it now. So far this season, Joe Stables has won 4 times. Scott Mittell has won twice. Joe won both of the championship rounds at Donington Park over the Easter weekend, and then at Croft in May and at Brands Hatch in June. Both races there followed a similar pattern. Joe winning race 1 and Scott winning race 2.
They've still hooked up that the car that spun down there.
It looks like it needs to be lifted. Perhaps they tried to push it and it wouldn't, so it needs a lift out of the way. Nevertheless, it shouldn't take too long.
So I wonder whether it's dropped a chain or it's had some kind of transmission problems.
Could well have done. So it's probably going to be at least one more lap behind the safety car, I would think, which means we'll perhaps get 2 or 3 laps after the race gets back underway. We've not yet seen the safety car wave past the cars behind it, so it can then pick up the 2 that it should do. The problem is you're not going to get a nice clean line of cars headed by Joe Stables before this race needs to restart, because there's only 4 minutes to go.
That's right, and there it is then, the Lamex Food Group car, Mark Grayson, being taken away. Marshall just hanging on to the wing side plate there to prevent it from dangling into the road. Everything done with the utmost care. And you can see the flat bottom underneath that car.
Yes.
With a big wide splitter on the front, and the Venturis in the tail, all part of the aero package on an SR3, which is so impressive.
There's a car stopped as well, I can see, at the Vale, which the Marshal should be able to push out of the way. Number
11, Philip Brown.
Yeah, so he was running in 17th place. But they're just going to get it over the gravel, onto the grass, and into the pit lane entrance there, and that should be out of harm's way. So fantastic work being done by the Marshals already. We're only into the second race, and already they've been kept very busy with cars, particularly down at the Vale, so far during the course of this Bikesports race and the Tagirwa Type R Trophy race that preceded it. But Grayson's car's now behind the barriers, so that's good. We've still got the lights on the safety car.
Had one or 2 little scuffs in the rear corner, I see.
Looks like there was some wheel-to-wheel dicing going on down there into Stowe, which would have been quite scary.
Now they're the leaders, right, directly over the top of the safety car, as you can see it there.
But the safety car observer now, you can see he's got his arm out of the window.
And they're
very
being
high
waved
tech
through. Yep.
And being waved through. And so hopefully what those drivers should do is then head round at a reasonably smart pace to attempt to catch up with the queue. They probably won't get there though, because we've only got 2 minutes left to go. I fear we're probably going to get one more lap out of this by the time the car does get around. But that's better than nothing, I suppose. And
1 lap dash for cash, except there is no cash.
Well, indeed, but I suppose knowing that there is only 1 lap to go, if indeed that is the equation, then you can make
they might just get 2, because it's nearly 2 minutes to go. They're lapping in just over a minute, so they might be lucky here.
It's going to be tight, isn't it? They've still not quite picked up the leaders. I don't.
No, there's Mittel in 27.
Yeah.
And there's.
I think Stables is. He's straight behind the safety. So they've got Stables now. There's a back mark between them, I think. Oh, the back mark has gone past.
Kind of freed himself.
Which I'm not sure he should have done, but there we go. I think they do that in Formula 1 these days, don't they? And back markers can sort of unlap themselves.
Anything to improve the show.
Absolutely. So there is our race leader, Joe Stables. Behind him is Scott Mittell. Of course, it is important, you see them weaving around there, to try and keep some heat, because they're, of course, running slick tyres. Yeah,
that's right, particularly in the fronts, which will be susceptible.
I think it is only going to be 1 lap, isn't it? Because there's going to be less than a minute by the time they get to the timing line. So, and that probably suits Joe Stables. He'll be happy to only have 1 lap.
You could see there 27 Mittell trying to get to the situation where he can cut back at Stables. But Stables is being quite wily, and 6 is in on the show as well.
He's a lap down, of course. Green flag waves. Race gets back and away for 1 lap here. And it's 95 Joe Stables and 27 Scott Mittell, who hasn't really, I don't think, been able to capitalise on that. There's a maybe half a dozen car lengths between them as they sweep through Abbey on what is lap 16 of this race that's been interrupted by the safety car. So I don't think Scott Mattel is going to be able to do it unless possibly there's a chance at the end of Hanger Straight. That's the 29 car, Andy Tidy. He's in 17th position, one of the back markers that's got himself trapped behind the leaders.
Stables have started just a little bit too quickly for Mattel here, and he's made that break, which is going to give him a little safety cushion when he comes down to Stowe. There's the green flag waving because the incident has been cleared. It's time to go racing again.
But not for very long, because they've only got about a third of a lap to go. Some jousting here going on down the order. We can see the third place battle's not even in sight, so they're probably half a lap down now on the leaders. Down into club corner for the final time. We've got the race leader then, Joe Stables, going through. This is a battle involving some back markers, but the leader is over the line to take the checkered flag. It is Joe Stables that takes his 5th victory of the season in the RLM Racing Bikesports Championship, beating Scott Mattel by half a second, but that was only after one lap of racing. And then we've had the back markers go through. We'll see if we can pick up the battle for third place, which is heading through Stowe Corner now, and there it is. It's Landrew Kimpton, number 44, ahead, and it's not as close as it was, I don't think, immediately before that safety car. And there's Leon Morel too. Well, he's got himself ahead of Doug Carter now, number 35 in Class B, and that means that he's not going to be caught by Miles Drew.
That's right, and there's Kimpton then in the 44 car, the black and red car in the foreground. He goes through, he takes third place. Fourth is 7 Julian Griffiths, fifth 73 Alistair Smart. There's a spinner there,
Mark Boot
in 26. That's between Vale and Club. And sixth was B winner Leon Morel, who managed to get Doug Carter between himself and pursuer Miles Drew towards the end of the race. Andrew Fido was 9th and Matt Moore was 10th, third of the B-class runners.
Yeah, absolutely right. So Joe Stables it was, taking his 5th victory of the season. Meanwhile, in Class B, it was a 6th victory of the year for Liam Morel. Indeed, a 6th victory in a row, and he might be more in contention for the overall championship were the points a bit counter. I'll explain that in a minute, but let's have a look at the results first. Joe Stables it was that took the win by 1.2 seconds from Scott Mattel. Andrew Kimpton, as we saw, about basically half a lap down in third place, number 44. Fourth to number 7 Julian Griffiths, head of 73 Alistair Smart. Leon Morel, number 35, winning Class B, car number 6. 7th to number 5 Doug Carter. 8th to 18 Miles Drew, 2nd in Class B, then 9th, number 12 Andrew Fido, and 10th, number 20 Matt Moore. We'll have a look further down the order. Robert Rees, Andrew Gord, another of the Class B winners, 12th. Richard Hardy, number 33, 13th, ahead of Mark Boot, despite that spin on the final lap, number 26. Ian Charles was 15th in number 24, then Chris Child, 46. Then a run of Class B winners in 17th, 18th, and 19th, 29, 22, and 11. Robert Gilman, number 6, despite various spins, classified, I think, in 20th position. And Mark Grayson and Richard Wise, who also we missed his demise, but he didn't make it to the end, and he failed to finish the race. Down in the pit lane, I think we've got the drivers getting out of their cars. You can see them heading into the pit lane, and there you can see our race winner, Joe Staples. So I think we can now go down to Josh once again in the pit lane.
So we're down here in the pit lane after the Bikesports Championship race. Another win for Joe Stables. Well done, Joe. Another winner's garland for you. And a really good battle over them first couple of laps.
Yeah, it was an interesting start. I didn't get a very good start, and then Alistair was on the inside of me, so I kind of got squeezed out on the first corner, but managed to get it around the outside eventually.
And then you had to go after Scott, and Abbey corner was a brave move to get the lead.
Yeah, I just saw the opportunity and just stuck with it. I mean, the car was feeling really well. I mean, we just had the engine rebuilt, so on top form, really.
It's been a really good start to the season for you. You've won more races than Scott.
Yeah, we're doing all right so far. Yeah, just staying ahead.
And two different cars, where do you think your one has the advantage?
It's a tricky one, that. They're quite well matched. Hard to say. We're different. We're better at different points in the track, so it's hard to say.
Well done and good luck later on. So Joe Stables our winner. Second was Scott Mattel. Scott, you had the lead for a little bit there.
Yeah, I had it for the first couple of laps, but I was having some issues with the last section of the track. We've been trying a different setup this weekend, and yesterday's testing was pretty useless. So yeah, I think we'll change it for race 2.
And Obviously, we've got the weather as well, so it could be a busy time for the team.
Yeah. If we got some nice wets, we'll put them on. If it rains, it'll be fine. So we'll go change the car and have a go in race 2.
If it is dry, you've learnt some things from that race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not working as is, so we'll change it.
Good luck later on. And then in third place was Andrew Kimpton, who had a real battle. Well done, Andrew. I think your second podium of the year, and you had to work hard for it.
Yeah, and I did have to work hard for it. Yeah, I got a good start. I don't know what Joe was doing. I think he had his eye on Scott, and I just managed to get down the inside of him, and but couldn't hold the inside line there. And really, I mean, they're fast, and I just wanted to stay in front of anybody else and make sure I got the hanger straight before anybody else, to be honest with you, and stay in front.
The slipstream round here in these cars, is that effective for the cars behind?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I mean, if you can get a bit of a... But although I was not close enough to get one today, unfortunately.
And at the start as well, that was quite exciting. I think you led for a little bit.
Yeah, I think I led for about 20 yards, I think, before. But I think I did Scott a favour where he actually managed to get in front of Joe. And but then, I think Joe got back in front of him at some point. But it was just keeping the guys behind me, really. And the safety car was a bit strange because I couldn't see Scott and I couldn't see Joe. And I thought they was waiting us to catch up. But then suddenly I saw a green flag and I sort of thought, hello, we better go. So, yeah, stay ahead.
You've been in Bikesports for a couple of 3 seasons now. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, no, it's great. Got a different car last season, which made a hell of a difference. And yeah, I seem to be a bit on it again now, so that's good.
Well done and good luck later.
Thanks a lot.
So that's our top 3 from the Bikesports Championship. In third place was Andrew Kimpton. Second was Scott Mattello. Another win for Joe Stables.